it sucks that this is the second video now where I have this thing in the dark. I mean, you do get to see a little bit of it there, but it's hot as I don't even know what to compare it to. It's super hot and I don't want to be out there in the scorching desert of a parking lot, so we're going to be here for this video. So one thing that I get questions about kind of on the daily about this car is where I get my parts from and kind of what options are out there for this car, because not a lot of people know, and there is also just not a lot of things out there. As an example, I've said it before, but this lip is off of a Subaru. Kind of everything aero-wise on this car at one point was off different cars. Side skirts, usually I get them from other cars. The ones I have now are from a Mustang, and the diffuser in the rear is off a Genesis. That being said, we do have a good couple options. There's Shark Racing for one, and that's where I got the headlights from. So Shark Racing, they're okay. There is some mixed reviews on them, but generally speaking, just from my experience, I would say they're fine. Tuscani Customs. Tuscani Customs is totally fine as well. And there is Import Shark. Import Shark is where people are getting most of their aftermarket bumpers and where you can get the only Hannah bumpers. They are reproductions of the original Hannah, and I'll kind of go into why there's some problems with that. But if you really want a Hannah, that is the only place you can get them, and kind of all the other Duraflex bumper options. New one that just showed up, which is great. I love that there's still people out there that are starting aftermarket support for these cars still. So that would be Fused Fabrication, and they are the ones that make these Hannah inserts that I have here. They also make emblems, boost gauges, some interior things. So it's all 3D printed. He's also currently working on models, 126 scale models, maybe 118. I think they're 126. When it comes to interior stuff, there's not too many options, but most of my stuff is from a website called Redline Goods. And then you'd be surprised how many, I guess it kind of depends where you live, but there are local places that do vehicle upholstery, and they can do some custom stuff for you there that isn't really too expensive unless you're, doing your entire interior. But if you're doing something like what I have, the center console, it's pretty inexpensive. And something that a lot of people, I guess, maybe don't really think of is eBay. I get a lot of stuff off of eBay. The emblems, those were both off of eBay. I think you can get them in a package now, but you just search OEM Tuscany badges. Probably get steering wheel badges as well, but mine was from, I believe, Tuscany Customs. But yeah, a lot of your interior parts, even exterior parts, there's a lot of part outs actually happening on eBay. So you can get, if your mirrors break, any of your trims break, oftentimes you can pick these up on eBay. And all my aero parts, even carbon fiber gas caps, you might be able to get on eBay too. I can't remember if that is Tuscany Customs or Shark Racing, one of those, or on eBay, but there is a lot you can get on eBay. One website that I found, I think it's called Genuine Hyundai Parts. I really love about that website specifically is it actually gives you the part numbers of everything that you're looking at, and it points to it, and you can find the part numbers for pretty much everything. And sometimes even Hyundai doesn't even know the part numbers. When I was trying to order those seals, they had no idea, and I had to find it out myself and tell them. And if you're looking for performance parts, I believe it's Shark Racing and Tuscany Customs that would have the most performance parts that you can get, besides eBay, but eBay is not always recommended for performance parts. When it comes to coilover options, so I have BC coilovers. Usually they would say BC is kind of the best option you can get for the quality and the price point. Otherwise you have Racelands, Megan, and Teen, I think. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think Megan coilovers are known to be pretty decent. Racelands are kind of the lower one that most people get, but I hear that they were just like horrible quality and not the best thing to get, so I went with the BCs. Recommending them, I'm not sure I would, because mine, I don't know if it's just something I did or Tiburons are just such a rough ride that they kind of destroy coilovers, but mine are making the worst noises when I turn it. I realized that that noise that I was getting was actually because of the coilovers, but I'm kind of seeing everywhere I look that BC coilovers can make a lot of noise. They kind of all can, but just something to keep in mind when you're looking for them. Last tip for parts and just general information on this car is I would get on Facebook and join every single Hyundai Tiburon owners group that you possibly can. I think there's like 7 of them. I'll show all the names on screen. keep up with them because people will post a lot of part outs, and that's where you can find not only just general parts for the car that you might need, but also rare parts. A lot of people buy the parts for the car, or they hold on to them thinking they're going to get another one, and then eventually they either give up or buy a new car. So even performance parts, superchargers, the NIA design eyelids, even like the lips, a lot of kits and stuff. I've seen pretty much every single part that I ever thought was kind of impossible to get at one point has been posted on one of those pages in my time of having this car. And then there's New Tiburon Forums. New Tiburon Forums has been around pretty much forever. I don't know how long it's been around, but since I was a kid, I was on that. Still decently active to what I can remember of things I've posted on there before. It's a great website, not only for asking about questions, finding part outs as well, and looking up pretty much every single thing there is to know about this car. Best performance upgrade is, what the best exhaust is, what everyone's kind of setups have been. There's pretty much everything you could ever think about asking. They also post DIYs. I found out how to take off my headliner by following instructions from them. So that's pretty much it for all the aftermarket options that we have. The last kind of resort is to get creative. There is a lot of universal parts that are all over eBay, but also as long as you can find something that is bigger than what you're trying to fit it to, like the skirts, you can fit basically any skirt you want as long as you get the back lined up or whatever you want going on there and you can cut it to fit. That's pretty much what I've done with everything. The Genesis diffuser's cut to fit. Obviously it depends if the exhaust lines up, of course, but once you measure all that out and it fits, all you have to do is just chop off the ends. And that's pretty much the same rule that I used for everything, and the lip as well. I knew that there was a solid chance that it was going to fit the shape of the car, and it did. It fits the curve actually really well. It was just way too big. All it took was just 2 cuts through the middle to remove the width from it, glue it back together, and then it fit it pretty much perfectly. The other thing I get asked pretty often is what are the few things that you can do to improve the look of the car, or what are the best modifications that you can do. And by far, the first thing I will say, and the number one thing I will always stand by, is change the headlights. Nothing at all compares to the difference it makes when these things go from dusty headlights to brand new. You could try to fix them. I mean, worst comes to worst, if you can't afford to get new headlights, then you can, I believe you can sand them down and recoat them with clear coat, but you really have to make sure you can find a way to protect them from UV light, because I think it will turn them yellow or it will still keep peeling anyways. Or you could PPF them, which is what I have done to these. That will help them if you clear coat them from peeling further. Another thing is obviously wheels. If you're going to keep the stock ones, I do really love the stock GT wheels. I think they are a great design. It really depends on your preference, but painting them black or gloss black or satin black did a lot for them. They are a little bit chunky, and I think that's what kind of gives it away that they're OEM wheels, but definitely the black helps a lot. Other than that, the last thing you can do is basically just lower the car a little bit. The great thing about these cars is the design is basically timeless, and it really doesn't, once you freshen them up, it really doesn't take a lot to make these look really good. These cars already do have pretty great handling, I will say. The BC coilovers, or just coilovers in general, help a lot lowering it and making the handling a lot better. I would also recommend getting strut tower bars, and I think you can get rear strut bars as well, and even chassis bracing. Pretty much anything you can do with handling on this car, I would totally recommend it, because it makes this car so much more fun. And then, because I know everyone's going to ask about performance, pretty much the most simple things that you can do performance-wise: get an exhaust, get a cold air intake, maybe get some headers, and that's pretty much the best that you can do for these cars. Tuning them is very difficult. ECU reflashes are very difficult, but for most people, you're kind of better off just enjoying these cars for what they are and just doing simple bolt-ons. When it comes to superchargers and turbos, there are no turbo kits that came for this car, so you will have to do a custom turbo setup, which is a lot of money. Definitely, if you're going to go that route, do as much research as you possibly can into the price of all it. There are, though, superchargers that were made for this car, so that does exist. The problem with that is they don't exist anymore. All that's left of those are the bits and pieces that people are hanging on to, and you just kind of have to wait for someone to possibly sell it, or kind of pick up what you can from someone and then find the rest of the parts yourself, which is also another reason people have quit throughout the process of trying, because they can't find everything, and then within that time they just want to go with a different platform. From what I know, both of those options, if you're trying to go supercharger or a turbo kit, it will probably run you about $3,000 in just parts alone. So basically, my humble opinion of these cars when recommending them to people: if you're a student and this is your first car, or you're just interested in the car in general and you don't have plans to really make a ton of power with it, 100% I will always recommend just get the V6. It will still go a very long way just enjoying it exactly for what it is. So, unfortunate update, this is the state of the car currently. As some may know, it was in a bit of an accident. I was sideswiped, and you can see it's on the door, the quarter panel, even my handle, which really sucks. It got the wheel too. Unfortunately, insurance would totally consider this a write-off, so I'm doing my best to have that not go that way, but I'll definitely give updates as it goes.